Today on Commander Replay, Jhoira, Hapatra, and Tajic must be purified with pain. Can they team up to stop my Josu Vess deck of pain and suffering? Find out next on Commander Replay. Welcome back, everyone. Playing some Josu Vess Lich Knight. This is my Josu Vess deck of pain and suffering. This is now the deck that I play in paper. That is easily my most powerful deck, and right now what I've been breaking out when people grab their really strong decks. So this deck is not looking to make friends. It is looking to do everything in its power to win the game. Lots of really powerful cards in here. Mindslaver, Emrakul, Worst Fears, that sort of stuff. All fair game for this deck. And today we'll be facing off against Hapatra, Vizier of Poisons, Jhoira, Weatherlight Captain, and Tajic, Blade of the Legion. Urza's Tome coming down for the Jhoira opponent. So we draw a Gauntlet of Power. Good card. Right here, let us play the Swamp and get our Gravecrawler into play. And then we will pass the turn. Next turn, we'll probably go for the Marsh Flats. We want to get our basic land count up for the Gauntlet of Power. Also, we want to get our Swamp count up for the Cabal Coffers. We don't currently have Urborg out. So right now we'll just focus on trying to get a lot of swamps. Hapatra, Vizier of Poisons coming into play. So when it deals combat damage to a player, you may put a -1/-1 counter on target creature. When you put one or more -1/-1 counters on a creature, create a 1/1 green snake creature token with Death Touch. If you let this deck get going, it can do some interesting things. Puts a lot of -1/-1 counters on things and kind of combos off like a slow-acting poison. It's kind of interesting to watch. Blackblade Reforge coming down for the Jhoira opponent. Interesting, not something I'd expect to see in a Jhoira deck. Jhoira is usually combo city with Paradox Engine and a bunch of other stuff. Preeminent Captain coming down for the Tajic opponent. Opponent possibly on Soldier Tribal? Brings it back to our turn. There's the Urborg, so play the Urborg. Next turn we'll get Cabal Coffers down, and then we have Deserted Temple to follow that up, so we'll be making lots of mana very soon. So we'll cast the Basalt Monolith. Gravecrawler can't block, so we'll send it into the Jhoira opponent. Opponent goes down to 38, and we will pass turn. Contagion Clasp coming into play. See where they decide to point that. Decides to go after the Preeminent Captain, probably fearing the recursion ability on Gravecrawler. They can also get Gravecrawler with their commander. Opponent's going to swing the Hapatra into us. No blocks. It hits, and it's going to put another -1 counter on the Preeminent Captain, and they will get a snake out of the deal. Jhoira opponent's going to Brainstorm. Jhoira coming into play. Cathara Shield coming into play. Jhoira will get to draw a card. Door of Destinies for the Tajic opponent, so definitely on tribal deck. Choosing Soldier. Brings it back to our turn. There's a Phylactery Lich. Right here, let's play the Cabal Coffers. Get 4 mana out of that. Let's go for the Gauntlet of Power right here. This time we'll swing into the Tajic opponent. Ooh, Hapatra has a Westvale Abbey down. They aren't too far away from getting that thing flipped over. Ooh, that's a Beastmaster Ascension. Means we're probably going to need a board wipe. And there's an Ulvenwald Tracker. Opponent kind of spreading the damage around. Gets 4 counters on the Beastmaster Ascension, so next turn things will probably be real big. Puts a -1 counter on the Jhoira and gets another stake. Jhoira's Familiar coming into play. 4 mana, 2/2 flying. Historic spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. This does not appear to be the combo Jhoira, so we're probably okay to leave them alone for a while. Boros Swiftblade coming down. Gets a counter on the Door of Destinies. Tajic coming into play. It's a 4/4. Puts another counter on the Door of Destinies. That's actually going to be pretty interesting because Tajic's indestructible, so not the easiest to get rid of. And luckily for us, Damnation off the top. How about that? So we'll go to combat. Swing into the Hapatra opponent. Opponent's going to block with the token. No big deal. Was seeing if they wouldn't block to try to save the token, but did not work out that way. Play the Deserted Temple. Make some mana with the Cabal Coffers. Untap the Cabal Coffers with the Deserted Temple. Make more mana with the Cabal Coffers. Play Damnation. Right here we have a choice between... right here we'll play the Ambitions cost to draw a few more things. There's a Triskelion. That's one of the combos in this deck. And we will pass a turn like that. In all likelihood, we will expect to cast Josu Vess next turn with Kicker. Cultivate for the Hapatra opponent. That's actually really good because that means that they are going to be slow to rebuild and we can start focusing them down. I think they're going to have to be the main priority right here. Hapatra coming back to play. And, ooh, an Aetherflux Reservoir, so not sure if that is a value thing or if that is actually a combo piece. Opponent's going to play a Kozilek, a Butcher of Truth. That one's not indestructible, but we don't really have anything for the I guess that means we have to cast Josu Vess? Yeah, I guess if we cast Josu Vess, then the Annihilator 4 isn't nearly as bad. We can actually survive the Annihilator 4. So Tajic going to swing into Jhoira one time. Gets in for 4. That's a Mindslaver. We should probably use the Mindslaver. And that's why this is the deck of pain and suffering, because we're about to use this Kozilek on someone else, assuming that they don't scoop it up. So use the Cabal Coffers, get some mana, untap the Cabal Coffers, make more mana. That's 10. So we should be able to, let's get the Phylactery Lich down. We're going to put it on the Basalt Monolith, because that's less likely to get blown up than the Gauntlet of Power. Then we're going to play the Mind Stone, use the Basalt Monolith, crack the Mind Slaver against the opponent with an Eldrazi, and pass the turn like that. Dictate of Erebos coming down for our opponent. Wickerbow Elder coming into play. Gets a snake off that deal because it puts a -1/-1 counter on itself when it comes into play. That's interesting. Didn't know it could do that. Hapatra going to swing into the Jhoira. Gets another counter on the Beastmaster Ascension. Beastmaster Ascension at 5 counters, so that's getting close. Needs 7 to be active. Ooh. So Hapatra puts the -1 counter on their snake, forcing everyone to sacrifice a creature. Ooh, opponent sacrifices their Kozilek. So that really reduces the efficiency of us mind-slavering the Tajic opponent. But I guess the good news is that the Eldrazi is gone. Jhoira coming into play, gets a counter on the Aetherflux Reservoir. Now the problem is Dictate of Erebos. That's going to make it really hard to keep creatures in play. And that brings it to the Tajic's turn. Obelisk of Erd, you say. Relic Seeker. Let's see. Foundry Champion. Sure as you control. I guess we go to combat first. Still haven't figured out what we're going to do, if anything. Since I ended up targeting the Boros opponent with the Mind Slaver, I'm going to help opponent out and not be as destructive as I possibly could be. So we'll play a land for him, and then we will drop... We can actually make double swamps. So play the Obelisk of Erd, choosing Soldier. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm actually just not at all worried about what the Boros opponent is doing. So we get to scry one time. That's an austere command. Yeah, I think we need that. We're going to leave that on top of our opponent's library. But we will make it just a little awkward for them and play this mobilization. Oh, nope, looks like we're one short. So we will pass the turn like that. It's a black market. I mean, opponent's going to have to blow up the enchantment, so I think we're going to stay put on the black market at this juncture. Play the Marsh Flats, crack the Marsh Flats, get a swamp because of the Gauntlet of Power. We get 2 off that. I assume that opponent will go artifacts and enchantments on the austere command. Oh my god, I can't.
Time I'm gonna kick that football clear to the moon!
Ugh. I've done that so many times where I cast this thing without kicker. Oh my god. Alright, how do we kill it? Well, it'll die quickly to the Dictate of Erebos. So that shouldn't be too much of a problem. We'll crack the Mind Stone. Oh my god, I've done that so many times. Here's a Promise of Power. Let's entwine the Promise of Power. Not completely waste our turn, despite my best efforts. So use the Deserted Temple, untap the Cabal Coffers, get 10 mana, entwine the Promise of Power, draw a bunch of things. Next turn we can play Attrition if our Josu Vess does not end up in the command zone and all of the enchantments don't get blown up. There's a Necropotence. That'll be really good also. But we need to see where this austere command goes. So I'm going to pass the turn like this. Oh, that was a major punt every time with the kicker on Josu Vess. When you're playing quickly and talking, it's just a really easy thing to miss. So opponent can use the Wickerbow Elder to take down the Aetherflux Reservoir. That seems like a good idea. Blowfly Infestation for the Hapatra opponent. That is the card that really allows them to combo off. So austere command on enchantments would be a really good idea. Opponent going to send Hapatra into the Jhoira. Yep. And that's going to make Beastmaster Ascension active. And they're actually sending a 6/6/6 Death Touch Snake into us. So we'll block. Get Josu Vess back into the command zone. Blink of an eye. Return target non-land permanent to its hand. Owner of its kick, draw a card. What do they return? Beastmaster Ascension. Oh, we forgot to block. Oh, never mind. Now it's only 1 damage. Opponent going to blow up the Door of Destiny with the Wickerbow Elder. Gonti's Aetherheart coming down. That will probably almost guarantee that artifacts get blown up. So Jhoira looking like they got some kind of combo-esque stuff going on. Wherever the Paradox engine is, that's the thing you need to watch out for. 3 Dynamos are only mana rock currently, so yeah, not a lot of mana rocks on the Jhoira's part. And opponent's gonna Swan Song that. That is a really bad idea. So Austere Command gets countered with the Swan Song. Eee. That does mean our mana's intact, but I really did want to get rid of Dictate and Blowfly Infestation. So opponent can go on the attack and spread it around a little bit. Relic Seeker into the Jhoira and Tajic into the Hapatra. Oh, nice. Hapatra's going to block with a snake, which will die in combat, which will send Josu Vess back to the command zone for us. That's good news. So Renown's going to trigger for the Relic Seeker, and Dictative Erebos is going to trigger. Each opponent's going to have to sack. So sacrifice Josu Vess. Ooh, opponent Relic Seekers for Sunforger. On this channel, we know how good Sunforger is. We may have seen me play that card a few times before. We draw a Jet Medallion off the top, play the Swamp. Lots to do this turn. Start by making tons of mana, then by making more mana, and even more mana. 13 mana, play the Jet Medallion. Oops, almost did it again. Cast with Kicker. So Josu Vess coming in. We get 8 2/2 zombies. They will be 3/3s because of the Gauntlet of Power. Next up, play Black Market, then play Attrition. Attrition the Wickerbur Elder. Sacrifice Josu Vess. We're going to start putting counters on the Black Market. So that's going to trigger the Dictate of Erebos. So we'll sacrifice a token. 3 counters on the Black Market. Swing into the Jhoira opponent. Jhoira down to 11. Black Sun Zenith X2. Opponent, our creatures are... That'll make our creatures 1/1s. That's going to make... Wow, that's a lot of triggers. Opponent's going to be able to shoot down all of our tokens with the -1. Interesting. Blowfly Infestation's going to trigger. And Dictate of Erebos will trigger. And this will result with many, many counters on Black Market. This sequence is really click heavy because each trigger triggers more triggers, so I think now we finally got it rolling with the auto yields. Opponent now has many 1/1 snakes. Everyone's got to sacrifice to the Dictate. Opponent now with 20 tokens. Ooh, gotta be careful of that Westphal Abbey. And that's a Bloodchief Ascension. Also a really dangerous card. If there was ever a time to blow the enchantments up, now would be it. Isochron Scepter for the Jhoira opponent. This can't be good. Gets a counter on Gonti's Aetherheart. Actually gets 2 energy. Ooh, counterspell under the Isochron Scepter. That always makes things fun. It's gonna be real hard to get that Necro down. Opponent's gonna Urza's Tome. Gonna Reach Through the Mists. That's definitely a combo card if I've ever seen one. So opponent going to send on some counterspell mana with the Isochron Scepter. Sunforger coming down. Opponent's going to create a token with mobilization. Opponent's going to equip the Sunforger. Opponent using the Sunforger. Let's see what they get. Going to go Return to Dust on Beastmaster Ascension and Dictate of Erebos. That is a big time play. Opponent's going to use their Thawing Glaciers. With like a big draw off the top. There's actually so many tokens on board that Necro is a little bit risky. Also, Necro's got to get through this Isochron Scepter, which just really don't see it doing. The Dakin Orrery is a thing. We get 12 mana off the Black Market. Try the Orrery. Let's see if they counter it. Play a Swamp. I'm going to try casting Josu Vess right now just because we have a lot of free mana from the Black Market. So Josu Vess into play. See if it gets countered. It does not. So zombies coming in. And everything else I'm going to wait to do at instant speed. Potentially we could... If we have enough mana, we could potentially recast Josu Vess after using Attrition multiple times. But we'll see if we have to do that. We'll try to wait to the end step before doing anything like that. Opponent decides to flip into Ormondal. That's going to put 5 more counters on Black Market. Ormondal is unfortunately a black creature, so we can't shoot it with Attrition. It's a 10/8. Flying, Lifelink, Indestructible, and Haste. I thought about running that in this deck, but this deck also really cares about the number of swamps that you're running. That is not a swamp. And if we have that many creatures out, it's probably win more anyway, so that's why I'm very sad to not run that in this deck. It's a card that I've been looking to use for a long time, I just haven't played the right deck for it. I don't play like a lot of green-black, really. You need to be playing like green-black tokens or something like that. Opponent sending some tokens into us. Unfortunately, they have Death Touch, but we will block them anyway. Gonna be putting even more counters on the Black Market. I could have did that Necro play a lot different with the Black Market. Ooh, Jhoira's gone. All right, that means that the counter spells are gone. So, yeah, we can get Necro down and just go Necrotastic. 1 counter on Bloodchief Ascension, 2 to go to make it active. Noting that the Boros player has achieved their goal. Opponent going to re-equip the Sunforger. This makes me nervous. They could come after our Black Market. Opponent's going to use the Sunforger. Going to Swords of Plowshares on the Ormondal. Nice, that worked out. Ormondal down. Took 5 tokens with it. Opponent's going to create a token with mobilization. Opponent's going to re-equip the Sunforger and has just enough to activate it 1 more time. So at the end step, start making some mana. Let's find out how much we have. Let's Attrition one of these tokens with Josu Vess. More counters on the Black Market. Recast Josu Vess. Get a bunch more tokens. Then cast Necro. We'll Attrition 1 more time. Sacrifice Josu Vess. Bring it back to our turn. Black Market gives us whopping 25 mana. Recast Josu Vess. Attrition down more tokens. Shoot opponent's last blocker. We have 4 floating mana. Play this Bloodstained Mire. Or I guess we'll go to combat and skip the 4 mana right there. Send all available attackers at the Hapatra. So they're at 60 and they're going to drop to 21. Not bad. Then we're going to go crazy with Necro. I don't know. Necro for like 15 or something. Well, maybe not 15, but that seems like enough. That should give us plenty of cards. Bloodchief Ascension does trigger one time. It's not great. There's an Exsanguinate. That's helpful. Could have used that Coat of Arms last turn. Do we play the Myojin right here? I guess we'll cast the Myojin right here, since we have to discard a bunch anyway. Oh, actually, we can cast things at instant speed. That's fun. Can we Exsanguinate everyone out? How much mana do we have? That's 11. That's 18. 19. Oh, it's going to be real close. That'll give us 21 mana, 22 mana, 23 mana? Yeah, we got it. All right, crack the Bloodstained Mire. Oh, and we have cost reduction of 1. So crack the Bloodstained Mire, get a Swamp, sacrifice the Ebon Stronghold for some extra mana. X is 22. Both opponent. So Boros opponent scoops it up, and Hapatra goes down. So Josu Vess, pain and suffering. That is this deck. Even through that terrible misplay of not casting Josu Vess with Kicker again. I've done that in other videos too. We were still able to get there. It is just a monstrously powerful deck. Essentially, Cabal Coffers is our commander along with Deserted Temple and Cabal Stronghold. But the deck just generates tons of mana, and it's really hard for other players to deal with that. So anyway, you guys take a quick peek at the deck if you want. This deck has been performing pretty well. I still need to playtest it more against the other really high power decks. I've been tuning it a little bit to deal with combo a little bit more, and that's why you'll see things like Emrakul, Mindslaver, and even this Sadistic Sacrament. Haven't casted that one with Kicker yet, but you know, when we had 25 counters on Black Market, it's easy to cough up the mana to be able to do that, but even just playing it for 3 against the combo deck can really mess up what they're trying to do, just getting rid of a couple key pieces from their deck. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching.